Hey, what's going on, everyone? Max in the UFL. We're officially back. Excited to. There was just a fight night for UFC that I just watched, so that's what I'm going to go over with you guys. We're in Seattle, officially 32nd franchise in the NHL and the Canuck Cap, because that's obviously going to be a rivalry, and the UFC is full of rivalries. First fight was Corrales versus Sanders, which I thought was going to be fight of the night after the fight was done, but the whole card was just crazy. Mostly all decisions. There was 2 finishes and then 1 disqualification. The rest were all decisions. It was a really long night. It's almost 10 p.m. where I live. But yeah, the first fight was Sanders versus Corrales. Corrales ended up winning, even though Sanders won the first round. I had Sanders winning in my pick'em, so obviously my night was ruined right off the bat. Yeah, unanimous decision. KB Bueller and Michaelides. I probably got that wrong. Greece versus Canada, so I was going for the Canadian, obviously, because I'm Canadian. KB Bueller looked awful. It was the worst fight on this card, maybe besides the DQ. But yeah, it was awful. He did not look good, and Michaelides completely ran through him. Luma Lookboonmee, probably my favorite name in the UFC, versus Sam Hughes. Lookboonmee won, amazing in the clinch. Yeah, just completely overpowered Sam Hughes, and Sam Hughes with the Sam Page nickname. One of the worst nicknames I think I've ever seen in the UFC, so get it together. Botelho versus Carolina. 2 Brazilian women. Once again, in my pick'em, I had Bolito. Some of these names are so hard. Brazil, like hockey, most are Canadian. They're really easy last names to get out. Some of these are just unreal. But Botelho versus Carolina. Carolina ended up winning. Carolina was major underdog. So yeah, it was pretty crazy to see her win that one. Kamaka versus Brown, which ended up being a split decision for Brown, which was another really good fight. I thought Kamaka honestly won, so did the announcers in the UFC. Pretty sure everyone thought Kamaka won, but it was so close that it's not one of those ones where you're completely upset of what happened. Then the DQ. Ronda Marcos versus Pinheiro, and Marcos threw... God, I just watched it now, I don't even know. But yeah, she almost took an eye poke. The ref warned her, watch your fingers. Not even a minute later, thumb in Marcos's eyes. I'm like, take a point away. You warned her. Happened. If you get an eye, they need to take more points away. This is ridiculous. You could take 2 nut shots. Ooh, give you a warning. Take a point away. Marcos, and then Marcos on her back hits her with her toes in the face, and she kind of looks at the ref and then falls back. Emmy for the best acting in the world. Oh, did I lose? She was fully aware what happened. Even the announcers were sugarcoating it. Oh, and she fell down. It was ridiculous. Yeah, it's a forgettable fight. Don't bother going back to watch it. Marta Davilishvili versus Cody Stamann. That was a really good fight. Murad won. So yeah, I can easily say Stamann lost that match. Strickland versus Jotko. That was a really good match. Strickland completely dominated though. And then Ian Kudalaba versus Jacoby, which ended up as a draw. Kudalaba probably went up 10-8 in that first round. And yeah, came out guns a-blazing, but he started gassing. And that's when Jacoby started picking his shots, and it ultimately ended up as a draw. And then you had Chickadees versus Cub Swanson, which lasted a minute, maybe a couple seconds in spare change. But yeah, Chickadees won. Cubs by a kick to the liver. It just completely buckled Swanson instantly, and then he actually bounced back, didn't even want to continue fighting with him, but then had to lay in the couple extra shots for the ref to step in. and then you get to your main card with Prochazka and Reyes, and Yuri looks scary. He's gonna give Yan some problems. I think Yan's gonna beat Teixeira, but man, Yuri fought with no defense, and he absolutely destroyed Reyes. Reyes was laying the shots in, but Yuri was just too much, and then ended it with a spinning back elbow, which is only the third in the UFC. So this was actually a really good fight night. And a lot of the comments on the UFC board were, oh, this is a really boring card. And usually when you have a bunch of fans saying this is going to be a boring card, it's going to be the best card of the year possibly, because they don't know what they're talking about. A bunch of casuals. Oh, McGregor's not on the card. This was a great fight night. This was awesome. This is probably one of the best fight nights of the year, I would say. Really long though. There was a lot of decisions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fights went to decision out of 11. So yeah, it was a really long night, but well worth it. The prelims were just as good as the main card, and yeah, I can't wait for the next fight night, which let's find out which it's gonna be. Yeah, and they also say Yuri is going to fight the winner of Teixeira and Jan Blachowicz, which I agree he deserves, but he has to wait for that fight. I think you should stay active and then take a New Year's fight for your belt. I think he should verse Ratchik, who's number 2, and then stay active. But there's a reason why I'm not Dana White, I guess. Alrighty, yeah, because I think the next pay-per-view is, yeah, it is Oliveira versus Chandler, which I'm gonna give the edge to Chandler. Chandler looks scary against Hooker, but so does Oliveira. He's had that big win streak going into this. So the next card actually has to be announced for the main event, I believe, because it was supposed to be was this the one Diego Sanchez was supposed to fight Cerrone, and now they need someone to fill in? I think it is Diego Sanchez, or should I say his coach. Probably gonna get a hot head here because I'm talking about him. But yeah, oh yeah, and also tonight the announcers threw a couple jabs in at Diego Sanchez and his coach, which was pretty funny. Michael Bisping and Felder were on fire tonight. Great announcing. But yeah, it's to be announced for the main event. But you also have Neil Magny versus Neil. You have Angela Hill versus Amanda Ribas, which is going to be an awesome women fight. And the prelims, there's only one announced so far, which is Park, and I'm not even going to attempt this last name. Chukwi, Nchukwi. That's how it's spelled. That is way too hard for me to announce. Because I really only started watching UFC. Well, obviously, like, everyone watches the UFC since Chuck Liddell days and that. But you watch one maybe every 3 months. I've actually watched every single fight night. I've seen every pay-per-view for probably the last year and a half now. Really getting into it. Obviously, when all the sports were going down, the UFC kept going, which gained a lot of new fans. And yeah, it's been awesome so far. I think the UFC is doing really well. Oh, there's May 6th, PFL is going to go out. There's a guy named Usman, Usman, who's from Nigeria. I wonder if he's a relative of Kamaru Usman. And then you also have Ferreira versus Fricio Verdum. So it's actually going to be a pretty cool card here. I've never seen a PFL before, but it came out, so I decided to check it out. And then Bellator has a really good match coming on May 7th, where Sergio Pettis defends his belt. Anthony Johnson, old UFC fighters there, versus Augusto. And then I believe Chris Cyborg is going to fight here pretty soon too, and she's versing, God, Oh, versus Smith, and Smith is 12-8-1. Cyborg's 23-2. Who put that together? But if Smith wins, I will eat my words. Yeah, there's solid amounts of good cards coming up. Not even just for UFC, but for everything. There's a lot of good fighting organizations out there. Yeah, Olivier versus Chandler, that's coming up soon. You have Leon Edwards versus Nick Diaz on that card. Nate Diaz, sorry. Tony Ferguson versus Darush. Chukagian's fighting. Edson Barboza's fighting. Obviously, Chukagian's not fighting Barboza, don't worry. You have Shevchenko's sister fighting. I believe it's her older sister. Yeah, the cards just keep getting better and better. And then the fight night after that, you got Garbrandt versus Font. Felicia Spencer, who just versed Amanda Nunes her last fight. And then after that one, you have Adesanya versus Vittori too. And I'm not even excited about that fight. I'm excited Figueiredo versus Moreno rematch. You have Bilal Muhammad fighting again. The guy just non-stop fights. And he's versus Damian Maia. Dober's fighting. Hill's fighting. And then, yeah, the last one, Poirier versus McGregor 3. Obviously, that's 264. But in between that, you got Volkov versus Gain. And Tim Elliott's on that card, too. Yeah, Poirier versus McGregor 3. That is July 10th. And wow, Gilbert Burns versus Stephen Thompson is on that card, too. So, yeah, if you're a UFC fan, it's a good time to be a UFC fan. But anywho, 12 minutes long. I better end this soon. But yeah, UFL is back. We do UFC, hockey, basketball, baseball. I don't need to go on. We do every sport. Any sport that entertains us. The only sport we really don't watch or follow is soccer. So you probably won't see many videos on soccer just because we have a lack of knowledge on it and we don't want to seem too stupid, even though I just looked like an idiot this entire video. Mainly will be hockey, but obviously when hockey's done, there's going to be football. I'm quite knowledgeable in football, very knowledgeable in hockey. Baseball, I know I know. Basketball, same thing. I know, but I don't. And yeah, when it comes to the fighting and wrestling, I'm new to it too, but obviously a little more knowledge than the basketball, baseball, because I just barely watch those, even though I do have a favorite team, Utah Jazz and Minnesota Twins. So yeah, we'll do fantasy news, podcasts, analyzing games, just like this every fight night. I'd like to do a video like this, obviously much shorter, when I'm not explaining myself and I don't have to go through different fight cards. I just wanted to look at what was upcoming. And yeah, another thing too, when the playoffs start for hockey, I have a leopard gecko, and it is going to predict the entire playoffs. So it'll predict the entire first round. Once that's done, it'll predict the second round, the third, and then the finals. So be ready for that. I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to be like the old monkey that used to grab the ball and show what team was going to win the Stanley Cup. Anywho, thank you. Follow us on Instagram, the UFL, Twitter, the UFL, and yeah, leave a sub on YouTube if you want more. Give us a like. If you think we can do better, obviously give us a dislike. It really won't upset us. Constructive criticism's the best, right? And yeah, it'll be a lot more entertaining videos coming up too. We have a lot in the memory bank. Obviously, we used to do this before. We had hockey cards, quizzes, and trivias and stuff, which we would like to get back into. We haven't done this in probably a year. And a couple months ago, me and Pelin were like, man, we really need to start. We need to get back into it. And all of a sudden, it didn't happen again. Today, I just felt something. I'm like, dude, we gotta do it. And within like an hour, we had a new logo going. We had intros going. Pelin was going ham on everything. So yeah, prepare for more content. It's about to hit 15 minutes, so I'm going to end it right here. Have a good night. Have a good day wherever you live. And yeah, that's it. UFL Max. I'm out.